Shalom, shalom. Want to give honor and glory to Yahweh Shem Yahushai, right? Get back into the laws, Leviticus 11th chapter, right? The dietary law. So we gotta go back to the law, right? Okay, cause that's the foundation. Okay, let me get a precept. Let's go to Psalms. This is Psalms 119 and verse 1. Blessed are the undefiled in the way who walk in the law of the Lord, right? So meaning the Lord said you are blessed and you are undefiled if you walk in the law of the Lord, right? Because the law show you how to be obedient, and the law is pretty much laid the premise of, in the foundation, or, how to understand, the higher level things in the Bible, right? And, and you might say, well, how can I understand this, what I am reading, like in Revelation or Daniel or Zechariah, right? You might say, I can't get it, because you have to go back to the law and seek the foundation, right? And also, like in Proverbs, there's are things, in Proverbs, you wouldn't know unless you knew the law, right? Okay, so you have to walk in the law of the Lord, meaning, living in this truth, okay? Right? Verse 2. Blessed are they that keep his testimonies and that seek him with the whole heart. Meaning you have to seek the Lord with your whole heart, right? Okay? Then Esdras, and then he seek the Lord. He seek the law, of the Lord. Okay? Let's go to it. Let's go to Esdras 7. I want 7 and verse 10. This is Esdras 7 and 10. I'm going to start with verse 9. This is Esdras 7 and verse 9. For upon the first day of the first month began he to go up from Babylon, and on the first day, on the 5th month, came he to Jerusalem, according to the good hand of his God upon him, right? Verse 10. For Esdras had prepared to his heart to seek the law of the Lord, and to do it, and to teach Israel statutes and judgments, right? So meaning, you have to prepare your heart, all right? You got to come up with a plan. You got to meditate, right? You got to analyze the good that may come with it, right? The profitability of when you take, that action, the risk that, you might take, your goals that you set, right? And, hey, and he did that, to seek the law, okay, of the Lord, to do it and to teach it, right? And that's a good 3-step process. You seek the law, okay, and you perform the law, you teach the law. And, you can't teach the law if you don't do the law, right? Okay, so you got to seek the law, and, and you can't go out there, on the highways and byways and teach, Israel, statutes and judgment if you never, sought after the law, okay, right? So, we gotta seek out the law, okay? Our mind should be in the law first before we, seek out prophecies, okay, the deep things, okay? Let me go to the precept, all right? Let's go to Sirach 39 and verse 1. This Sirach 39 and verse 1. But he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High, and is occupied in the meditation thereof, will seek out the wisdom of the ancient, and be occupied in prophecy, right? I mean, you had men that, they want to come in this truth immediately, right? And start occupying, themselves in the house of prophecy, right? Or the room of prophecy, right? Okay, because remember, in the house of learning, when you read Sirach, I think 51 chapter, right? And this entire Bible, from Genesis, to Revelation, is the house of learning, right? So, right, and there are many rooms. There are many chambers, all right? You have room of prophecy, you got the room of law, you got the room of history, you got the room of wisdom, you have the room of all the different rooms set up by Yahweh Shem Yahushai, right? So the law is the first floor, okay? And you just can't jump, up to the room of prophecy, right? So you got to start, with the milk, the law, okay? Right? Okay, so you just got to start with the milk, right? You just can't jump up to the room of prophecy. I'm gonna come in this thing, I'm going straight to the prophecy, right? No, you gotta start on that first floor, okay? The laws, the milk, okay? Right? So basically, you gotta give your mind over to the law of the Most High. All right. So let's go on. Let's get into it. Okay. Let's go to Leviticus, the 11th chapter. All right, because these laws, right? Because the Christians, they say we don't have to keep the law no more. Well, we're gonna go through the precept that you should keep the law, right? Okay, these scriptures are twofold, right? Leviticus 11, verse 1. All right, this is Leviticus 11, verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses and to Aaron, saying unto them, verse 2, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, there are the beasts which ye shall eat among all the beasts that are on the earth, right? So, meaning this is what we call the dietary law, right? When you read Leviticus 11 chapter on down, right? Or Deuteronomy 14 chapter, right? And it speak about the dietary law, right? Okay, right. So it's telling you about it, 40, let's go down to verse 46 and 47. Leviticus 46 and 47. Okay. This is Leviticus 46, 11 and 46. This is the law of the beast and of the fowl and of every living creature that moved it in the waters and of every creature that creeped upon the earth. 47. To make a difference between the unclean and the clean, and between the beasts that may be eaten and the beasts that may not be eaten, right? So, right, meaning you can't just eat anything like frog legs or snails because it moves. That don't mean you can eat it, right? And you have clean beasts and and unclean beasts, right? Right. So the beasts and the beasts and your beasts and your creatures are divided in 4 classification, right? You have your beasts and you have your beasts subcategories, and your beasts consist of like herds, and they consist of of the cattle, right? And you have your fowls, which are your so-called birds, and then you have your living creatures that moves within the waters, right? And those are your fishes and whales, and then you have like your bottom feeders, right? So your bottom feeders, and then you have your like creeping things like your spiders, ants, centipedes, millipedes, and those are your 4 so-called classification of beasts, right? Okay, and to prove that, let's go to 1 King 4 and 30. I want 4 and 30. I think it's 30. This is 1 King 4 and 33. 1 King 4 and 33. And he spake of trees from the cedar tree that is in Lebanon, even unto the hyssop that springeth out of the wall. He spake also of beasts and of fowl and of creeping things and of fishes, right? So meaning whenever you hear the Most High speak about his creation of animals as whales, whether it is reptiles or a bird, and these things are always the 4 classification. Okay, right? Let's go back to Leviticus. I want Leviticus 11 and verse 3. Leviticus 11 and 3. Okay. Whatsoever part the hoof and is clover-footed, and chewed the cud among the beasts that shall ye eat, right? So part of the hoof, meaning, you know, it has a split, and a clover-footed, meaning it you know, that it has a hook, a hard top or a hard bottom. You know, it chewed the cud, meaning like it eats its food and it digests it, right? You know, it put it in, you know, it put it inside his stomach, right? And it regurgitate it, you know, and it swallow it and put it in another stomach, all right? And it regurgitate it and chew it again and put it in another stomach, right? And it does that a few times, and that's chewing the cud, right? So these are the classification, right, of the beast that you can eat, right? And the Most High, you know, had 4 stomachs created, you know, on a cow, right? And you will watch, you know, a cow chew that grass. You know, you watch it on a video, you know, you see it on YouTube, he chew that grass, you know, and he will chew it and swallow it, you know, and it will go to one stomach and throw it back up, and, you know, and it will chew it again and swallow it. And that's how, you know, the Lord created these animals, right? So every creature don't do that, right? And the swine, you know, it don't do that. And certain beasts don't do that. So the cow do that on a physical level, and that's why you see the videos, you know, of the cow chewing the cud, right? So, but now, you know, on a spiritual level, the Lord likened us to a sheep, right? So the Lord likened us to a sheep, you know, that feed in the grass, right? You know, if we go to the classes, Psalms 23 chapter, right, verse 2. Let's go to it. He likened us like a sheep. This is spiritual, right? I'm gonna start with verse 1, okay? This is Psalms 23 and verse 1. The Lord is my shepherd, I will, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Verse 2, he maketh me to lie down in green pasture. He leadeth me beside the still waters, right? So meaning we are sheep, we are ruminants, right, on a spiritual level. And we take the word of the Most High, which is this green pasture, which is the grass of the Lord, right? And it is our job to eat the grass, and we break that down when we read the scriptures. We are the sheep, we are the ruminant, right? Eating that grass, right? And the word is the grass. So, and also, you know, then Yahushua feed 5,000. You know, he set them in a company of 50s, you know, in the grass, right? That's in, I think that's Mark 6 and 38, 39. Let me go to it. Mark 6 and 38. He said unto them, how many loaves have ye? Go and see. And when they knew, they say, 5 and 2 fishes, right? So Yahushua about, you know, to feed the multitude with 5 and 2 fishes, right? Verse 39, and he commanded them to make all sit down by companies upon the green grass, right? So upon the green grass, you know, that's emphasized, right? Because that goes back to what we just read, right? Psalms 23 chapter in the 2nd verse, right? So this is showing you the Lord is the shepherd, right? And we are the sheep, right? And Psalms 23 say, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, right? He make me lie down by the green pastures, right? Okay, so the Lord made them sit down in the green grass, right? So that's symbolized, you know, that they are people being a sheep, right? Okay, so the Lord's being a shepherd, and the word that he gave us was the word of the Most High God, right? So, and that was the you know, word that he gave us, and it is our job to follow that same system, right, as these ruminant beasts, right? And not just swallow it down whole, right, and forget about it, but to, you know, meditate on it, okay, right, and eat it, right, and keep it in your mind, you know, keep going through the cycle of the word, you know, of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, right? Let's go verse 40. Verse 40. And they sat down in ranks of by hundreds and by 50s, right? Let's go back to it. Leviticus 11. And I want verse verse 3. I'm gonna read 3 again. This is Leviticus 11:3. Whatsoever part the hoof and be cloven-footed and chew the cud among the beasts, that shall ye eat, right? Meaning you have to have every characteristic, all right? A split hoof, a cloven foot, and chew the cud, the beast you can eat, right? All right, so that's how you help Hashem Yahushua get down, right? Okay, you gotta have them characteristics, okay? Right? Verse 4. Nevertheless, these shall ye not eat of them that chew the cud, or of them that divide the hoof, as the camel, because he chewed the cud, but divided not the hoof. He is unclean unto you, right? So meaning you can't eat a camel meat, right? So because the camel divided not the hoof, right? Verse 5. And the coney, because he chewed it, the cud, but divided not the hoof, he is unclean unto you, right? So meaning you can't eat a coney, because the coney divided not the hoof. Oh, and another thing, slacky. I don't have no computer, so I can't just show y'all pictures or whatever. But y'all got to do some work for yourself. So y'all should be following me as I'm reading these scriptures, right? So you look up most people know what a camel look like, but if you don't, look up a camel. Go up to Google, look up a camel, and hit images, okay? Same way with a coney. All right, when you don't know what these beasts is, right? You see these words, coney, go look up a coney and it'll show you what these type of animals is, right? But you can know, all right? Verse 6. And the hare, because he chewed the cud, but divided not the hoof, he is unclean to you, right? So mean you can't eat a hare, because a hare divided not the hoof, he is unclean to you, right? A hare, all right? A hare is something like a jackrabbit, right? But you got to look up the words hare, and you'll see the images of them, okay? Right? Verse 7. This verse 7, this is what we bring out week in, week out on highways and byways. And the swine, though he divide the hoof and be cloven-footed, yet he cheweth not the cud, he is unclean to you, right? So, the swine, he cheweth not the cud, he's unclean to you. They are filthy, abominable, right? It's Leviticus 11:8. Of their flesh shall ye not eat, and their carcass shall you not touch. They are unclean to you, right? So we can't eat it, we can't touch it. That's verse 9, okay? These shall ye eat of all that are in the waters, whatsoever have fins and scales in the waters, in the seas, and in the rivers, them shall you eat, right? Meaning your fish have to have, fins and scales to eat them, right? Okay? And if it comes out of the water, right, and it don't have fins and scales, and we are not eating, we're not eating them, okay? Right? So you got trout, salmon, tilapia, perch, bass. Just look up on Google, all right, fishes with fins and scales, and you'll see what, when you say fins and scales, you good, you can eat that, all right, okay, right, because if it ain't got fins and scales, because catfish, they got fins, but don't got no scales, they bottom feeders, we're not eating no catfish, all right, okay, right, so we're not eating it, all right, okay, because we're not eating creepy things, okay? All right? And we can go to Psalms 104 and 25, and they'll tell you that. All right? Let's go to Psalms. Psalms 104 and 25. This is Psalms 104 and 25. So is this great and wide sea, wherein are things creeping innumerable, both small and great beasts, right? Meaning you have things in the sea, an infinite amount of creeping things, right? You can't eat the creeping things in a great and wide sea, right? Okay, right. So remember when Yahushua, he was on the scene, right? He ate fish, right? Okay, right? We know that, the classic, right? Let's go to it. Let's go John 21. John 21, verse. This is John 21. I'm gonna start with verse 9. As soon, this is John 21:9. As soon then as they were come to land, they saw a fire of coal there, and fish laid thereon, and bread. Verse 10. Yahushua said unto them, bring of the fish which ye have now caught, right? Meaning they wasn't eating crab, lobster, clams. Yahushua was eating fish, okay, that had fins and scales, right? Okay, let's go back to it. Leviticus 11 and verse 10. And it all that have not fins and scales in the seas and in the rivers, of all that move in the waters, and of any living things which is in the waters, they shall be an abomination to you. We bring that out all the time, okay? Out there on the highways and byways, right? Shrimp. So no eating no shrimp, crab, lobster, oysters. None of that, okay? Right? Verse 11. They shall be even an abomination unto you. You shall not eat of their flesh, but ye shall have their carcass in abomination. Verse 12. Whatsoever have no fins nor scales in the waters, that shall be an abomination unto you. Verse 13. And these are they which ye shall have an abomination among the fowls. They shall not be eaten. They are an abomination, the eagle and the ostrich, and the osprey, right? Meaning these are, certain birds you can't eat. And these are more predator birds, right? And these birds tend to swallow, their food whole. And, they will eat mouse, they will eat anything, right? And these birds are eating other unclean animals, right? Okay, verse 14. And the vulture and the kite after his kind, right? Meaning you can't eat a vulture, all right? And the kite after his kind, and the vulture would eat anything, dead or alive, okay? Right? Verse 15. Every raven after his kind, right? So you can't eat a raven after his kind. So like I say, again, I don't have a computer, but y'all got to do some work yourself. Y'all should be looking up raven, see what type of raven, what a raven look like, okay? So okay, this is a raven. I can't eat this, okay? Right? Let's go to Google, you hit image, and you'll see the pictures, okay? Right? I want verse 16. And the owl, and the nighthawk, and the cuckoo, and the hawk after his kind, right? These animals, they eat nighttime insects, and mice, rats, rodent, and badgers, okay? Right? Verse 17. And the little owl, and the cormorant, and the great owl, right? Meaning these are beasts that you can't eat, all right? Verse 18. And the swan, and the pelican, and the gur eagle, right? So meaning you can't eat a swan, a duck, a pelican, a flamingo, a crane, those like predator birds, right? We can't eat that, all right? Like goose, golden goose, owls, and owl, man, they eat things that come out of, at night. And the owl is a nocturnal creature, right? And their job is to eat things that creep forth in the nighttime, right? Okay, right. And they'll tell you that in I think Psalms 104 and verse 20. Psalms 104 and verse 20. This is Psalm 104 and verse 20. Thou makest darkness, and it is night, wherein all the beasts of the forest do creep forth, right? So meaning you can't eat these creatures. They come out at night that hunt mice, rats, squirrels, rodents, you know, because certain creatures are going to come out at night, right? And Yahweh Hashem Yahushua set them up to be in that spirit, right? Okay, let's go back to Leviticus. I want verse 20. Yeah, verse 20. All fowls that creep going upon all fours shall be an abomination unto you, right? So, for example, you know, like a dragonfly, it's like a fowl that creeps as a flying, creeping thing, or a flying insect, or cicada. You know, we can't eat a dragonfly or a cicada, right? Because, you know, they creep. They creep on the ground, and that is what Leviticus 11 and 20 is saying, right? Verse 21. Yet these may ye eat of every flying, creeping things that go upon all four, which have legs above their feet, to leap withal upon the earth, right? Meaning like a locust, you know. So you can eat a locust, and a locust is clean, right? And not a cricket, all right? No cricket, and a cricket is not clean. And a cricket don't live in the same environment as a locust, right? Because you know a cricket, it live in a dark, in dark places, okay, right? And we don't eat beasts that live in dark, right? And we eat beasts that need the sun, and the light, right? And these are some of the common denominators, okay, of the things that we are allowed to eat, right? Also we are the children of the day, right? So again, those are the common characteristics of certain animals, right? Okay. Let's go. Let's get that precept. I want 1 Thessalonians 5 and verse 4. But ye, the brethren, are not in darkness, that day should overtake you as a thief, right? So meaning we don't dwell in darkness, right? And we dwell in the light. And a cricket dwell in the darkness, right? They come out at night. They make all them strange sounds. But a locust, it flies in the day, right? It flies in the day. They move in bands, right? And a cricket moves solo, okay? And a locust, it has an army, right? And they depend on one another, right? Okay? And they are solid. They eat the grass, and they thrive, in the light. And they thrive in the sun. And, they leap with all upon the earth, right? So the Lord said, that's what I want them to eat, if they are going to eat, a fowl that's creep, and it's not a cricket, that is nocturnal, sitting in the dark, rubbing its legs together on the rock, right? So, right, and the Lord said, ye brothers are not in the darkness, that's that day should overtake you as a thief, right? Verse 5, ye are all the children of the light. It's like, let me read it again. Ye are all the children of light and the children of the day. We are not of the night nor of darkness, right? So, this dietary law, man, it teach you about the day and the night and certain behavior of certain animals that dwell in the night, right? And the beasts that dwell in the night and creatures of the light, right? Okay, so humble creatures that we can eat, like the sheep, and them things, right? Let's go back to Leviticus 11 and verse 21. Leviticus 11 and 21. Yet these may ye eat of every flying, creeping thing that goeth upon all fours, which have legs above the feet. It's like above their feet, to leap withal upon the earth. 22. Even these of them ye may eat, the locust after his kind, and the bald locust after his kind, and the beetle after his kind, the grasshopper after his kind, right? Now when you look up the word beetle, right, and it is really going to another type of locust, right? And it is not going into an actual beetle, right? An actual beetle, as far as I know, doesn't leap. And and when you got to go into the Hebrew, right? And if you don't, and you will get caught out there, right, by eating a beetle, right? So That's really, going to a different type of locust, and it's just the way it's translated, right? So we're not eating no beetle, right? So when you just Google beetle, okay, you'll see what all type of beetle. We're not eating that, all right? But the beetle is saying, when you go look it up in the Hebrew, when you look it up in this verse, right, it's just translated as beetle, but it's just, it's a different type of locust, right? Okay, so no beetle in your mouth, okay, right? 23. But all other flying creeping things which have four feet shall be an abomination to you. Verse 24. And for these ye shall be unclean. Whosoever touched the carcass of them shall be unclean unto the evening, right? Meaning, if you eat these, and you will be unclean. And if you touch the carcass of these creatures, and you are unclean until the evening, right? And a carcass is a dead body, right? Okay, right? So, and if you kill a mosquito with your hands, you are unclean to the evening, okay? Right? And if you can, just blow the mosquito off of you, right? Just blow it. Ain't no sense, taking your hand, hitting the mosquito. Now you're unclean, okay? Just blow the mosquito off of you, right? Or take a sheet of paper or something, just flat, swat it off of you, or blow it off of you, right? Okay, right. But don't just take your hand, just kill it, right? Because, you'll be unclean, until the evening, right? And now you have the carcass on your skin, and it is on your hands. So it is best when have these flying creeping things, they become a nuisance to you, and find a better way instead of killing it, right, with your hands. All right, now it is not a sin to be unclean, right? But if you don't follow the necessary step to purify yourself according to the law, and now it becomes a sin, right? Okay, verse 25. And whosoever beareth the ark of the carcass of them shall wash his clothes and be unclean unto the evening, right? So meaning, if you carry a carcass, or you touch the carcass of that, and you have to wash your clothes, and literally, and it don't matter if it didn't touch your clothes, right? But it still got on your skin, so you still have to wash your clothes, right? And you have to wash yourself and be unclean until the evening, right? Just like now, these other nations are like unto a beast, okay, right? And when you are dealing with them, and you are unclean, and you are hanging around them, right, and eating with them, other nation, right? And weed heads, crack smokers, all right, or people that gamble, shoot dice, or gang banging, being a sodomites, and you will be unclean hanging around them, all right? And you will have to wash yourself on a spiritual level, and purify yourself with the word of the Most High, and change your garment, right? And then you will be clean. So this thing is all about discipline, right? Verse 26. The carcass of every beast which divide the hoof, and is not cloverfoot, nor chewed the cud, are unclean unto you. Every one that touched them shall be unclean, right? So meaning, if you touch that carcass of any beast that divide the hoof, meaning it is split, it is not clover-footed, nor chewed the cud, you are unclean until the evening, right? Okay, verse 27. And whatsoever goaded upon his paws among all manner of beasts that go on all fours, those are unclean unto you. Whoso toucheth their carcass shall be unclean until the evening, right? So going up on his paws, that's mean like a dog, cat, lion, tiger, a bear, right? Manner of beasts that go on all fours, those are unclean unto you, meaning you can't eat a bear or a lion, dog, cat, tiger, a Bengal, right? So whosoever touch their carcass shall be unclean until the evening, and it is not a sin to touch a lion, okay? All right, but if you touch the carcass of a lion, you are unclean until the evening, okay? Right? Verse 28. And he that beareth the carcass of them shall wash his clothes. It's like he wash his clothes and be unclean unto the evening. They are unclean unto you. Meaning, if you are responsible for getting rid of that carcass or removing it out of the camp, and that person is unclean, right? Same concept. If you got you stepped outside on porch, there's a dead dog. Well, guess what? You gotta move that dog. You don't, just walk over that dog, and that dog gonna be stinking. Okay, so right, just move that dog out the way. Okay, go wash your clothes and be unclean until the evening, right? Till you touch the dead dog, right? Verse 29. These also shall be unclean unto you among the creeping things that creep upon the earth, the weasel and the mouse and the tortoise after his kind, right? Meaning the weasel, the mouse, and the tortoise is in the same, category as a centipede, millipede, or an ant, or or a dung beetle. So when you look at it, all right, and you put it on the same pedestal, right, and those are the creepy things, the same thing, right? Verse 30. And the ferret and the chamberlain, slacky, and the lizard and the snail and the mole, right? Verse 31. These are unclean to you among all that creep. Whosoever do touch them when they be dead shall be unclean unto the evening, right? So meaning, if you touch a carcass of a lizard, a chamberlain, snail, ferret, mouse, tortoise, and you are unclean until the sun go down, right? 32. And upon verse 32, and upon whatsoever any of them when they are dead do fall, it shall be unclean, whether it be any vessel of wood or raiment or skin or sack, whatsoever vessel it be wherein any work is done, it must be put into water, and it shall be unclean until the evening. So it shall be cleansed, right? So it's the law that we have to go into, right? And that we have to know how to deal with that, all right? And you might look at your windowsill and see like a dead fly on your windowsill, right? And say, how do I react to this? Or a dead fly in your wine glass, right? And how are we going to react to this, right? And you have to figure this out by going into the law, so know how to purify your house and keep your house clean, or otherwise you got all these dead things in your house, right? And bring it in spirit. Now let's say if for example, if a woman got a purse and and a bug landed on it, right, and died, and she got to get everything out of her purse and go put her purse in some water, right, and wash it and be unclean until the evening. And it could be a sack, right, and something that kind of hold, and it carrying things, right, like your corns. And if something die on it, you have to take your money, your coins out, and put it in the water, right, and it got to be unclean until the evening, right? In a vessel of wood, you might have a bowl, right, made of wood that you have your apples, oranges in, right? You have a dead fly in there in your fruit bowl, okay? And now you have to empty your fruit out of the bowl, right? And you take that bowl and wash it, and it be unclean until the evening, right? So, and that and that's the law of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, okay? And also this dietary law, right? It's not just about eating pork, okay? All right, or shrimp, crab, and lobster. That's what we do when we out there on the highways and byways, because we know what our people like to do: eat shrimp, crab, pork, and lobster. Give them like 4 or 5, commandments. No eating shrimp, crab, pork, and lobster. Not breaking the Sabbath. Quit smoking cigarettes, smoking weed. Brothers, put on your fringes. Sister, put on your dress and get rid of them abominable jeans, right? Right, no shaving your beard. We like give them my 5, 6 commandments to work on, right? So they start working on them, then they start picking up a pencil, paper, and get some folder and start getting some more laws like we get into right now, Leviticus 11 chapter, right? So these things run deep, and you have to know about the purification rites, right? All right, when you become unclean, okay? Right? So I just want you to think it's about pork, shrimp, crab, lobster, okay? It's more than that, all right? Verse 33. And every earthen vessel whereinto any of them falleth, whatsoever in it shall be unclean, and you shall break it, right? So earthen vessel is something made of, ceramic, pottery, or of glass, right? The element made out of the earth, molten, when heat it up, it'd be able to make a vessel to contain something, right? So anything that is made of glass, ceramic, okay, pottery, and things of that nature, right? And if something dies and land in the glass, and you got to break that glass and keep the law, right? Okay, so you can't just, oh, this is my favorite glass, there's a dead fly in there, I'm gonna wash my glass out and just put it up. No, you gotta break it. That's the law. You gotta break it, all right? Okay, so right, hey, and the same concept also, we are vessels, okay? And according to Yahweh Shem Al Shah, if we become unclean, then the Lord is going to break us, right? So we need to learn these laws, right? Or the Lord's going to break us, right? Okay, because didn't the Lord call us vessels, right? I think that's in Hosea 8 and 7, 8 and 8. I think it's 8 and 8. But anyway, right, but so these laws, it teach you, many things, discipline, fundamentals and sacrifices, all right? Let's go to this precept, Hosea 8 and 8, right? Israel, this is Hosea 8 and 8. Israel is swallowed up. Now shall they be among the Gentiles as a vessel wherein is no pleasure. Right, meaning we were broken, and the Lord, he destroyed us. He took us out of our homeland and put us in captivity, right? Okay, and put us in subjected to these heathens, right? And we lost our language, and we lost our God, we lost our temple as well, right? And we are like unto vessels, okay? Right, let's go back to it, okay? Leviticus. I want Leviticus 11 and verse 33. And every earthen vessel wherein to any of them falleth, whosoever is in it shall be unclean, and you shall break it, right? Meaning if anything does fall into it, like an earthen vessel and die, and you have to break it, right? And it is a foreshadow of what's going to happen to the children of men. So we ought to keep our vessels clean, right? Verse 34. Of all meat which may be eaten, that on which such water cometh shall be unclean, and all drink that may be drunk in every such vessel shall be unclean, right? So meaning all the meat that you have in any drink and something defiled it, and it is unclean, right? Verse 35. And everything whereupon any part of their carcass falleth shall be unclean, whether it be oven or range or for pot, they shall be broken down for a day. It's like for a day are unclean, and shall be unclean unto you, right? Meaning the oven, right? The range, pots, they should be broken down. And according to the law, you're supposed to get rid of it and get another stove, right? Or microwave, and you have to get rid of it, right? Verse 36, nevertheless, a fountain or pit wherein there is plenty of water shall be clean, but that which touched their carcass shall be unclean, right? Verse 37, and if any part of their carcass fall upon any sowing seed which is to be sown, it shall be clean, right? Meaning if you plant a seed in the ground and the carcass fall on it, and it is still clean, right? Verse 38, But if any water be put upon the seed, and any part of their carcass fall thereon, it shall be unclean unto you, right? Meaning when that water hits it and it starts to grow and it's going to germinate, and it is a sign of life, right? And if something dead fall on it, and it becomes unclean due to that plant sprouting and beginning to grow, right? 39. And if any beast of which ye may eat die, he that touched the carcass thereof shall be unclean until the evening, right? Meaning you may have a beast that drop dead and have a heart attack, right? And he died of itself, and and you touched it, the carcass thereof, and you shall be unclean until the evening, right? Verse 40. And he that eateth of the carcass of it shall wash his clothes and be unclean until the evening. He also that beareth the carcass of it shall wash his clothes and be unclean until the evening. 41. And every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth shall be an abomination. It shall not be eaten, right? Meaning no rats, no spiders, mice, etc., right? We have to stop following the delicacies of these other nations, all right? We got to stop that, right? 42. Whatsoever goaded upon the belly, and whatsoever goaded upon all four, or whatsoever had more feet among all creeping things that creep upon the earth, them ye shall not eat, for they are an abomination, right? Goaded upon the belly, meaning like a serpent, a Komodo dragon, snake, anaconda, go up on all fours, meaning, like a bird, cats, lions, whatsoever have more feet, meaning like centipedes, millipedes, and them shall you not eat, for they are an abomination, right? Verse 43. Ye shall not make yourselves abominable with any creeping thing that creepeth, neither shall ye make yourselves unclean with them, that ye shall be defiled thereby, right? Verse 44. For I am the Lord your God. Ye shall therefore sanctify yourselves, and ye shall be holy, for I am holy. Neither shall ye defile yourself with any manner of creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, right? Who is the top creeping thing? Meaning Esau, right? He is the serpent, okay? And the Lord said, upon the belly shalt thou go, and thus shalt thou eat all the days of thy life, right? Okay, that's in Genesis 3 and the 14th verse, right? So, don't defile yourself with the creeping things, right, that creep upon the earth, all right? Verse 45. For I am the Lord that bringeth you up out of the land of Egypt to be your God. Ye shall therefore be holy, for I am holy, right? 46. This is the law of the beast, and of the fowl, and of every living creature that moved it in the waters, and of every creature that creepeth upon the earth. 47. To make a difference between the unclean and the clean, and between the beast that may be eaten and the beast that may not be eaten, right? So another thing, we can't be eating the beast that die of itself, right? Or have, heart attacks, or roadkill, or strangle, or eat anything with the blood, or eat anything, with the fat. And these are other, aspects, of the law, right? That we have to take note of according to Yahweh Shem Yahushua, right? So this is Leviticus 11 chapter, right? The dietary law, okay? So you get the paper, your notebook, and your pen. Go to Walmart, go to Dollar Tree, whatever. Write these precepts down, okay? Study these laws, okay? Right? So we like to give out there on the highway, byways, 5 commandments. Not put much on them, right? No eat shrimp, crab, pork, and lobster. Quit breaking the Sabbath. Quit smoking weed, right? Grow your beard out. Put on a dress, women with fringes on. Brothers, put your fringes on your shirt, right? Just give them 5, 6 laws to work on. Then after they, been in this thing a little bit, they read and they study. All right, now they need to get into the laws, right? These more laws that they need to learn, okay? Right? So these is the laws right here, Leviticus 11 chapter, and you can find it in Deuteronomy 14 chapter, what animals that you can eat and what you can't eat, right? So I want to give honor and glory to Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Shalom.